Hello, Bobby Torres of Frightbox, recording here to answer a very important question. Is your audio interface hurting your home studio recordings? Well, spoiler alert, no. Your interface, I don't care what interface it is or how cheap it is not hurting your home studio recordings. And I will explain why within this video. Now, unless your audio interface is outright defective, it's not hurting your recordings. As a matter of fact, it's doing nothing to your recordings. What you put in is what you get out, regardless of what people believe. Now, I don't care how cheap your interface is. If you bought it after the year 2004, you could produce fully professional productions anywhere. Now, I constantly hear of home studio owners blaming their poor productions on their cheap interface that they're using. And the fact that these myths are constantly perpetuated in online forums, usually by people who don't really understand how audio actually works, really doesn't help matters any, and it just creates more unnecessary confusion. Now, when I see this taking place online, it's like daggers in my heart because I have been there. I used to think that the reason why my drums sounded like crap was because I didn't have nice preamps, or the reason why my guitar tones were muddy and fizzy was because I didn't own an API or an Eve preamp. Now, I have to say that I'm extremely grateful for the fact that I finally was able to see the light and fully understand and educate myself on the fact that interfaces contain 100% clean preamps. In other words, they do nothing to your sound. To be honest, I'm actually really shocked that this myth is still perpetuated out there. Now, I own a plethora of interfaces. I own a Mark of the Unicorn 8 Pre 8-channel interface, as well as a Mark of the Unicorn 8 Pre ES. I own an old PreSonus Digimax LT that I used to pair with my old Avid Digio 2, as well as my Digidesign MBox 2 Mini. I own and love my Behringer XR18, as well as a Mackie Big Knob 2-channel interface. In my office and mix room, I use a Steinberg UR242. And for recording demo tracks as well as vocals and guitars in other home studios, I love my Motu M2. And this list does not contain the plethora of interfaces, preamps, and converters I've used out of Pro Studios as well. And the fact is that these all give me 100% clean, transparent audio. Again, in other words, what I put in is what I get out. At this point, I know that if I don't like the sound that I'm hearing upon playback, it's because the source sucks. It's my fault, not my interface's fault. Now, people usually complain about the preamps in their interface, but the truth is that engineers in the 70s, 80s, and even maybe the 90s would kill to have clean preamps like in your $50 2-channel interface. Now, everyone loves to glorify analog gear and the past, but remember, tape machines are extremely noisy. Analog consoles introduce noise. Even high-end outboard gear introduces noise. Now, I want to be fully transparent and mention this. I have had issues when it comes to interfaces that are only USB powered. I've noticed some tend to be noisier than others. But with that being said, they're still way less noisy than even high-end analog equipment. Now, what I'm not doing is telling you to ignore all of the great products out there and to never upgrade your interface. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that upgrading your interface is not going to give you a better result. So the question is, what's the point of higher end interfaces if cheap ones sound just as good? It comes down to two factors: build quality and features. For example, I love my Motu 8 Pre ES. Not only are the drivers super stable, but it's got an insane amount of connectivity. I could connect it via USB, Thunderbolt, or even ABS. Also, it has a built-in mixer, so I can use the unit as a standalone mixer for live shows. And the same goes for my Behringer XR18. I absolutely love this thing for live shows. Much like my Motu 8 Pre ES, it has a built-in mixer and is also a USB interface. So in other words, while I'm mixing a band live, I can track multi-tracks with ease. These are phenomenal features that are not found in cheaper low-end interfaces. Now, do you need these features? Well, it depends on your needs. If you're just recording in a studio environment, no, you don't need these features. You don't need a live mixer if you're recording in your home studio. I need these features because I need, in these situations, to mix a band live. And also, both of these interfaces are built so well and are extremely durable, so I really don't have to worry about them breaking when they get knocked around in a live situation. Also, the Apollo interfaces by a company like Universal Audio provide you with extra DSP horsepower for running their plugins. Again, this is a very specific feature and well worth it if you want to run their plugins. Now, do you need this? In my opinion, no. I've been recording and mixing bands for 15 years and I've never personally needed any extra DSP horsepower. As a matter of fact, I was recording and mixing bands using nothing but a 2006 MacBook Pro, a Digio 2, and my Digimax ADAT additional preamps. But again, some producers might require the extra horsepower, and the Apollo interfaces are not only really well built, but they offer this additional extra DSP horsepower. So the moral of the story is to not blame the sound of your productions on your interface. It is a non-issue, I promise you. Unless you have a defective interface where something is actually wrong with the unit you're using, or maybe you need a feature that your interface doesn't have, like additional preamps, don't even think about it. Now, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I'm gonna be releasing a 3-part video series where I produce an entire song from pre-production all the way through to the final master using nothing but this 8-channel Mode 2 interface, as well as a handful of cheap microphones. Just a $300 Samson drum mic kit and a single SM57 for the entire production, nothing more. I'll also be recording and mixing the song in non-studio spaces. So in other words, I'm gonna be proving that you don't need any high-end gear or even acoustic treatment to produce great results. Now I know this is really gonna piss some gearheads off, especially people that have spent an insane amount of money, but you will soon find out that I practice what I preach. Now, in addition to recording the song in non-studio spaces using just this interface and a handful of cheap mics, I'll also be showing you how I use EasyDrummer to produce a professional sounding mix. So in other words, I'll be producing the song with live drums as well as with EasyDrummer. Part 1 will be released on Monday, Part 2 on Wednesday, and Part 3 on Friday. So if this sounds interesting to you, be sure to catch it. Professional results come from pro techniques and workflows, not from gear, and I'll be proving it next week. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And do not forget to click the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload one of my weekly videos on all things metal and rock production. You can both like and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And be sure to download my free guitar cab impulse response. There's a link below in this video's description so you can get right to dialing in killer metal guitar tone with absolute ease. Download the free IR, load it into your Amps and plugin, and have a great time. Till next time, happy recording.